More wintry showers on the way today. Bearing that in mind, it's almost impossible to believe that just last week people were basking in the sun in Margate. Since then, of course, we have seen floods devastate many parts of the country, leaving 5 people dead. Let's go to Andrea McLean. Andrea, sun, rain, snow, winds, what next?
Well, more of the same, I'm afraid, actually, Eamon. We've seen some very unsettled weather over the past week. As you said, I don't know if we can take a look at some footage of that. We've seen snow across Derbyshire and also across the Midlands. We've also seen floods in the Midlands as well, more snow. And also in Scotland, we've seen, well, they thought it was a tornado. It turned out to be a wind funnel, so nothing quite as dramatic as what they've seen in America. And as you're hearing earlier, 40 people have died there. And as far as the weather goes over the next couple of days, it is going to start to calm down. Looks like we're coming to the end of this cold snap, but still we're going to see more rain. So it does seem as if that, especially around the Midlands area where we have seen the flooding, I'm afraid it may well be topped up by the more rain that is to come. So it looks like we're not out of the woods just yet as far as the flooding goes, I'm afraid, Eamon.
Tell you what, those are amazing pictures from northeast Scotland there, that tornado, and snow falling in London last night, covering the place, certain parts of the place, covered my place anyway. The devastating weather isn't confined to Britain. Floods in northern Argentina have killed 2 record rainfalls have flooded Japan and South Africa, but worst hit has been America, where 40 people died in tornadoes last week. All told in the States, more than 130 people have died in tornadoes this year alone, and it's only April. Whole communities are once more in red alert. Let's go to Sally Eden in New York to put us in the picture. Sally, Middle America is known as Tornado Alley, isn't it? But have these been worse than normal this year?
Yes, they have. As you say, Middle America is called Tornado Alley. They're a sort of fact of life in Middle America. Tornadoes happen when the cold air from Canada meets the warm air from the Gulf Stream, and it whips up this great funnel of wind. Now, normally about 80 people per year die in the States from tornadoes, but as you said, already over 130 people have already been killed. The biggest problem comes from flying debris that's whipped up by these winds. And of course, the worst thing is you can get very little warning on these tornadoes. Experts reckon, even with the most sophisticated computers, they've only got about 12 minutes where they can actually give a warning that a tornado is on the way. So 1 minute the sky could look completely calm, and then these tornadoes, these deadly tornadoes, just fly in.
Gosh, I'm sure you just can't imagine how devastating those are. I hope we never have to find out, but you've been casting an eye over the aftermath, haven't you?
Well, last week there was a particularly bad tornado that ripped through Mississippi, Alabama and Georgia. Now, tornadoes normally, when they hit the ground, they normally go for about a mile. Well, this one went for 22 miles in a straight line and just left this trail of devastation. Over 40 people were killed, over 200 people injured, and literally millions of dollars worth of damage was done. And it was all done within a very short space of time. Someone said to me that even a cruise missile couldn't have done this much damage in such a short space of time. And those states are still on tornado watch, and they will be on for some time because the weather is still continuing the thunderstorms and the tornadoes to come across America.
Now, Sally, of course, America is a huge country. Is that damage localized, or are there knock-on effects?
Well, no, because of course you've heard of the El Nino, which has been happening all throughout the last 6 months. El Nino is this huge patch of warm water in the Pacific. This year is a particularly bad El Nino year because that patch of water is bigger, and it's caused terrible rainstorms and flooding on the West Coast, particularly in Los Angeles. We've seen the pictures of these million-dollar homes literally falling into the mud. And experts now are bracing themselves for the hurricane season on this side of America, on the East Coast. The hurricane season starts in June, and they say because of El Nino, because of these tornadoes, the hurricane season will be much worse, and there's bound to be more tragedy and more devastation before this year is out.
Well, Sally, I know we've had it rough in Britain, but on second thoughts, maybe it's not a bad place to live after all. Thanks very much indeed.
And we'll have the latest weather picture from